Here we go. Hey, everybody, welcome to Fatso Radio. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? My wife doesn't like that, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I like it. Welcome to Fatso Radio, everybody. My name is Carlo Volpe. It is my pleasure to come to you each and every Friday night. This episode tonight is brought to you by Volpe Martial Arts. Volpe Martial Arts is KW's hottest, newest Kung Fu and Hapkido martial arts school. Check it out, folks, at volpemartialarts.com. My brother, Sifu Adam, comes to you with his lifelong passion, lifelong skill, and enthusiasm. Comes right to not your door. Virtually, we were at your door, but now we're back in the crew. So really exciting. This week we're back in. Check it out, volpemartialarts.com. Okay, folks, I get into just a little bit about saying hi to everybody. I want a big shout out to everybody all over the world. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you. I'm not a doctor, so consult your doctor before you make any changes, any drastic changes to your diet or whatever, to your health regimen. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoy the show. Billy, take it away. Fatso Radio.
Fatso, the really great podcast show.
Fatso, a very first podcast show.
Hey everybody, welcome to Fatso Radio. How you doing? How you doing? This episode of Fatso Radio is episode number 128. And thanks so much for listening, folks. My name is Carlo Volpe. That's right. Every single Friday night I'm coming to you, and tonight is no different. July 16th, folks. July 16th. Another Friday night, another edition of Fatso Radio. Again, my name is Carlo Volpe. Fatso Radio, a podcast dedicated to telling you about basically my journey, fat loss, in a health journey, regarding a high-fat diet, even a moderately fat diet, high-protein diet, a moderately protein diet. But the essential key is a low-carbohydrate diet, folks. Now, it doesn't mean I'm perfect, doesn't mean I'm always in a low-carbohydrate state, but that means that is my goal, and that's when I feel optimal, and that's why I've created a podcast. I've lost a ton of weight doing this, but not only just losing weight, I feel better and I'm thinking better. And there's a lot of things I want to share. So that being said, this episode, folks, is really just kind of those what's up episode. I want to check in with everybody, see how everybody's doing. I want to say thanks to everybody. There's a lot of people I want to say thanks to. So let's get this started. First of all, there are people from all over the world that have listened to the show, that have watched the show on YouTube. And if you have, thank you. If you've subscribed, thank you. If you haven't, please subscribe. Please keep on sharing. Please hit the notification bell so you'll get a notification every time I have a new episode. But please keep on sharing your comments and your likes and your questions. And if you have ideas on people you want to see on the podcast, if you yourself want to be on the podcast, please let me know. fatsoradio@gmail.com. Or you can just comment on the Facebook page, fatsoradio.com, and you can see all the links there. So let's get into it, folks. First of all, I'm from Canada. I was born here. I was raised here. I still live here. I work here. I have my family here. Of course, it's going to be my biggest base. So thank you so much to Canada. Basically, 47% of the listeners are coming from Canada. Very close to my United States listeners, actually, about 43%. But thanks, and a big shout out to Canada, all over the country, of course. Ontario is my biggest home base. Sault Ste. Marie is where I'm from. Kitchener, Waterloo area, Cambridge area is where I live now, or Kitchener. But thanks to everybody in Ontario, all over the country, though. I've had support from BC, literally every single province. And it's amazing because I don't know people in every single province and territory. So it's nice that the word is getting out. And thank you for listening. Thank you for spreading the word. And even just thank you for just listening for 5 minutes, because it means that you're open to something different. Part of the reason why I did this is because I was hearing year after year, month after month, day after day, whenever I was asking for help, I was hearing the same old thing of just cut the fat, don't eat animal fat, don't eat animal products, eat animals sparingly or eat protein sparingly, and eat a lot of plants and eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, and that was going to be your answer. It wasn't the answer for me. I had to go to a high-fat diet in order to change a lot about myself. Lost over 120 pounds, but it's not the end of it. It removed brain fog from me. But more than that, it gave me the confidence and gave me the ability or the tools to regain my confidence, or just not even to regain it, just to get confidence and to create confidence. I guess it's a harness, and once and for all, maybe to have the confidence that you kind of think you wish you would have had, and I wish I did have, and I'm still trying to grow that confidence because it's important, and it's not easy. It's not easy for someone, even if you've lost a bunch of weight, or if you've had a bunch of success in one area. You still have the rest of your life to contend with. You still have your career, you still have your family, you still have your health, you still have, even if you have one element of your health kind of under check, you still have the rest of your health, your mental health, the rest of your body, or whatever's going on. So thank you so much to everybody who's listening all over Canada. all over the U.S. as well. So I want a big shout out to the U.S., to my American fans and listeners. Really, I don't call you fans, but just listeners and viewers. Thank you so much. From all over the states, really. I can't even name them because literally every single state. Then I want to go down the list. So Australia, Germany, UK, South Africa, Ireland, India, Philippines, Russia. So that's the top 11 countries. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. I'm going to go down the list here because there's some countries that I'm really surprised about, and I'm just so happy. So Netherlands, Malaysia, Netherlands, Czech Republic, Vietnam, France, Indonesia, Norway, New Zealand, South Korea, Republic of Lithuania, Sweden, Israel, Portugal, Kenya, Bangladesh, Nepal, Mexico, Belgium, UAE, United Arab Emirates, Pakistan, Egypt, Hong Kong, Ukraine, Denmark, Brazil, Croatia, Turkmenistan, Morocco, Thailand, Spain, Chile, Algeria, Finland, Guam, Colombia, Argentina, Singapore, Taiwan, Qatar, Jamaica, Romania, Greece, Japan, Saudi Arabia, China, Switzerland, Kazakhstan, Nigeria, Tunisia, Oman, Austria, Trinidad and Tobago, Syria, Lebanon, Sri Lanka, Albania, Cambodia, Fiji, Turkey, and Iraq. So thank you so much. That's 71 countries that I have listed here. Thank you so much to every single, maybe 71 people all over the world, and one person that goes to every country. I don't know, but thank you so much for listening, folks, and for your views. It's mind blowing to me, just the idea that even just one syllable or one word of what I've wanted to say or have to share, and I do feel passionately about what I'm sharing, but even just the idea that one word is being sent across the airwaves all over the world. Thank you so much. It's amazing, because you never think that anything you have to say is gonna hit anybody, regardless in Italy or China or any of these countries, but specifically, especially the countries that I've never spent much time researching or even knowing or even hearing about. So thank you so much for listening. What else is going on, folks? Again, just one of those episodes. I'm feeling very, very grateful for my health, for my family, for my friends. I just want to give a big shout out to everybody back home. So I'm from Sault Ste. Marie. It's one of those episodes where, like, if you know me, this might be nostalgic to you. If you don't know me at all, this might be boring. But I'm from Sault Ste. Marie. I grew up there. I was there until I was probably 20, 21 years old. Moved out to closer to Eastern Ontario, Kingston area, Gananoque. Was out there for a few years, and then now I'm down to the last 15 years or so, I've been down in Kitchener, Waterloo, Cambridge area. And I just want to give a big shout out to Sault Ste. Marie and just up north in general. My heart is always with you, Sault Ste. Marie, especially it's been with the north lately, because of the recent, reminding news of the residential schools and the terrible things that happened there, that still happen today, and the scars and the pain that still exists today because of the things that happened years ago. But not only that, I mentioned this in one of my episodes the other day on Centerville Voice, but I've always had a spot in my heart that I wished I was closer to nature, to the natives specifically, actually, to our native culture in Canada. And my heart goes out to Sault Ste. Marie every time I think of anything that's going on in the news where it revolves, it includes, natives of any kind. And I'm not trying to be racist at all, because this is the only thing that I can relate to, of course, but it makes me think of the reserves close to home, Ojibwe, the Garden River Reserve and Rankin Reserve. And again, I don't know nearly as much as I wish I did know about the culture. Of course, I know some people, but, friends, close friends, but I wish I knew more, and I'm trying to learn more. And I hope we continue to heal, and I hope we continue to teach and educate, and that's the key, is to really educate people on the past and the history. Like I've said in my other episode, but I'm not one to erase history. I'm not one to take down statues. I'm not one to tear down anything. If there's something that's up and it's wrong, I think we should add to it, explain why it's wrong, put a plaque beside it or whatever. And the best analogy that I can compare is Auschwitz in Germany. What happened during World War II, or what happened before World War II and after, and all the stuff with the concentration camps. It was so important to the people that building stayed there, so people could never forget. And that's how I do feel about most of the things in history. Everything in history, I think, is important. The old saying, if you don't remember history, you're bound to repeat itself, or something like that. And it's true, right? So it's especially true if we erase our history. If we erase the founding fathers, erase whatever the case may be, then you can't, how can you learn from something if it's not there? That's just the bottom line, I guess. So shout out to Susie Marie. Shout out also to my people in Waterloo and Kitchener. I don't give you guys enough love. I have a lot of listeners in Kitchener and Waterloo. I've been here for 15 years or so, like I said, maybe 16 years, almost 17 years now. So a lot of love out to everybody. I worked in the tech sector for many years. Working at BlackBerry for many years. I worked at OpenText for a few years. And now I'm doing something completely different. I even spent a few months at Toyota a few years back. I worked a year or so at the Movati Athletic, right? I was going to say Athletic Club. That was the name about 20 years ago. I did some sales there. So I just want to give a big shout out to everybody, whoever listens, and not just listeners, but the support for everything that I'm doing, the support for the podcast. I've been doing over, I guess, my third year doing this now. The support for the YouTube, which is a little bit newer, but still all the guests that I'm getting, all the love that I'm getting. Thank you, everybody, all over the world and all over town, Kitchener, Waterloo. And then now even on my new career, right? I'm meeting people every day and I'm talking to them. And sometimes I'm sharing the word. I'm saying, hey, I got a podcast. Check it out. Listen it out. If you have something going on, if you have any questions, or if you just want to share what you are doing as well, great way to get a hold of me, fatsoradio@gmail.com. So what else is going on, folks? What else? It's July. It's midway through July. Feels like it's midway through summer. I think I said that last week, but it really does feel midway through summer now. What are we doing? My wife mentioned something today to me. She's like, how are you going to help people how are you going to help people to be just motivated? How can people just, where do they get that motivation? And that's a tough one, man, woman, child, who's ever listening. That's a tough one because it is hard. It is hard to get motivated. I don't know what the special combination is, but it's a combination of getting inspired, by somebody or something, or, but also motivation where something will make you want to do it, or something will make you feel like you need to do it. Everybody's different, right? Some people feel motivated because they have a health problem and they feel like they better pull up their socks or or at least attempt to do something. Because for a lot of people, let's be honest, it's not so easy, cut and dry to say, well, I screwed up my life and I did this bad and this is why I have this illness. That's not the way it is, right? Most people, in most cases, we could honestly say we have no idea where a lot of these diseases come from. But what we can say with pretty good certainty is that if you're healthy, generally speaking, if you have all your health markers in check, and the key ones are things like your blood sugar, I want to say your BMI is not the best indicator as far as your height and weight, everything, but it's a good general rule. But basically just your weight and your height to weight, kind of your ratio, just generally if you're obese or not. That's a good indicator, right? If you're going to do well with any sort of disease. So enough about that. I want to say thanks again to everybody for listening. Thanks to everybody for sharing. This is one of those podcasts that I'm going to say some controversial things from time to time. I know that. And that's okay. That's why I'm here, is because I need to share, right? I need to share. And thank you. I'm going to say some things again that are, like I said, that are controversial. That are going to be not necessarily against what your doctor is going to say, because if you have a conversation with your doctor, you may be surprised. But I am going to say things, and I do say things that are controversial compared to what mainstream media might tell you, or controversial compared to what your last biology class might have told you. But if it was a biology class that tried to throw in a couple minutes of nutrition, then maybe. Or if you had some fitness training and you threw a couple minutes of nutrition in there, or if you're a nutritionist or a dietitian and you spent a lot of time or a lot of years following a book or following guidelines that quite honestly were incorrect in a lot of ways, this may piss you off. And I understand that. But it's not my point. My point is not to piss you off. My point is to sometimes provoke you, is to sometimes get you thinking, to say, hey, wait a second. Maybe this guy has something to do. Maybe this guy knows what he's talking about. And like I said, it's not about me knowing what I'm talking about. Rather, maybe this guy has a point, because it's not my point. It's not my idea. I didn't come up with keto. I didn't come up with the carnivore diet. Nobody came up with the carnivore diet. Nobody came up with this kind of way of eating, but a lot of people started seeing results. Excuse me. And yes, there are some people that are marketing it very, very well and very successfully. God bless them. Good on you. I mean, hey, if you can make money sharing what you know, right, and helping people get to the goals they want to get to, or answer the questions I need to answer, great. That's more power to you. So it's growing, and I'm glad that people are questioning things more and more. And this also, I want to say, this is kind of one of those episodes where I explain maybe a little bit of where I'm coming from a lot of times, because the reason why I do question, maybe not the only reason why, but oftentimes the reason why I question things is because over the years I started realizing and uncovering some truths that I just completely thought were false. You know, early on, the truths around marijuana were kind of exposed to me. Now it's a complex thing; it's a complex topic. Like every other topic, but the idea that it was just bad, it was going to kill you, it was going to kill your brain, was just wrong. Right? Once I found that out, it really started. It forced me to question a lot of things. Many years went by. I dabbled in the Atkins diet, which is basically an earlier version of a ketogenic diet, a low carbohydrate diet, um, which puts you into ketosis, right? That worked for me. That started getting me questioning. And then when I found keto again, or when I found the paleo diet again, it all kind of made sense to me. And I started following it, and I started seeing real results. Once you lose 50 pounds, 60 pounds, I mean, when I lost 30 or 40, I want to say even 50 or 60 pounds on the Atkins diet back in 2005. So it worked fairly well. Got down about 240 or 250 pounds or so, and then I gained a lot of it back, most of it back, if not all of it back. And then finally, it worked with the Atkins, or sorry, not the Atkins, but with more of a paleo keto, and then it morphed into the carnivore diet, because it seemed like with me, not seemed like, but with keto for me, it was easier because it was less rules, more flexibility, and it was kind of follow your gut. That being said, it took me a long time to listen to my gut, and that's the thing. As I was going through this transition, as I was trying to kick the sugar and trying to up the fat and trying to up the meat and the protein, I was fighting some conditioning. I really was. I was fighting the idea that, no, fat's not going to give me a heart attack. Eating a steak every day is not going to give me a heart attack. It turns out I can eat 2 steaks for 3 days straight, for 3 years straight, and it's not going to, not only is it not going to give you a heart attack, it's going to make you healthy. It's going to keep you healthy. I didn't know that, and I literally fought that. There were days and days where I was thinking, this can't be right. How can I be eating a pound of bacon in 2 days and eggs and all of this stuff, and I'm losing weight? It makes sense once you realize what your body really, really likes. Your body really, really likes fat, not only from the idea that when you keep your blood sugar low, you're not going to gain weight. Not only just from that, but your body runs better. I feel your body runs better on fat. And if your body's running smarter, if you feel smarter, if you feel clear-headed, and if you feel like you can articulate a little better, and you can put thoughts together and just think better, and it's working, it's doing something. So, and I'm not the only one. The idea of brain fog being lifted from a high-fat diet is not uncommon. Many people are doing it. Many people are kind of saying it, and claiming it, but it really got me thinking, and it really continued me. It really kept me going, and that's the momentum that's keeping me going to question a lot of things, questioning a lot of things about COVID and about just about health in general. When I started finding more of my health myself, when I went through the hoops, and I'm still jumping through the hoops with cancer screenings, and when I realized the connection between when I learned the connection between cancer and sugar, when I learned the connection between sugar and diabetes, which is a very, very easy connection anybody can read. When I learned the connection between obesity and all cause mortality, it reinforced how important this was to me. But at the same time, I had to fight that conditioning. You're still going to hear in the news that all this red meat is not good for you. It's slowly changing. It's 2021. It's 2021, and it's now changing slowly that red meat is not going to kill you. We've known this. A certain small percentage of the population has known this for 30 years, but it's been suppressed. It's been pushed down. It's big money, big money, big money. And you still see the big push about it, right? Or you still see the push against it. And it's really, my opinion, is from the vegetarian push. And here's what I'm going to get into, a little bit of my soapbox again. It made me think. It gave me the confidence to think outside the box, and the confidence to now think with a clearer head too. It's not just that, hey, they were wrong about this, maybe they're wrong about everything else. It's, I feel better, I feel smarter than I've ever felt, and things are actually making more sense to you. So then when you do some reductive reasoning, or you process elimination, you're realizing that, wait a second, it's very simple to realize that if you try to keep your body as healthy as possible, right? Everybody knows there's a general guidelines of what to do, but doing it is hard. So if you can do that, you're going to stay as healthy as possible. Okay. But again, it started me questioning. So I don't want to get off a tangent too much, but it started questioning. It forced me or allowed me to question more things. COVID was another thing. Every illness is another thing. And like I said about COVID, during the initial stages of COVID, and even now during the waves and everything, we're in Ontario here, so we're just entering phase 3, I guess, which is kind of a releasing of the most of the restrictions, but we're delayed. A lot of the US is ahead of us, and a lot of other countries are kind of ahead of us, but it doesn't matter. We're opening up again. But one of the things that really bothered me from the beginning of the whole COVID pandemic was that there wasn't a focus on overall health. There wasn't a focus on, hey, let's look at our overall body weight. Let's overall look at our blood sugar and things like that. And it's weird because we've gone to a place, it seems like we've gone to a place now where we're so afraid. It's political correctness, right? And it's not the episode about that. It's not even the podcast about that. But we've gone to a place of political correctness now where we're so afraid to call people obese that are obese. And I'm calling myself obese too. We're so afraid to call ourselves obese because they're worried about being offended at the detriment of our health. And what do I mean by that? Everybody knows someone who is obese. And I'm not judging anybody. I'm obese. I know people that are obese. I love people that are obese. I love myself. What I'm stating is just facts, folks. So please don't kill the messenger. Everybody knows someone who's obese. And a lot of people know somebody who's morbidly obese, right? Nobody would agree, I don't think, that it's healthy to be morbidly obese. But at the same time, most people I know don't feel right to judge. And I understand why, because it's someone's feelings at stake. Okay, pause for a second. If it's unhealthy, and if it's so unhealthy that it actually raises your all-cause morbidity, which means you have a higher chance of dying from any other disease by being obese. That's a great factor, right? Including COVID, including pneumonia, including any illness at all. We should be focusing dramatically on the obesity epidemic. We really should be. As soon as I say that, though, I know that I'm at risk to being called a fat shamer, or to say you can't judge people. It's their choice. Let me explain something. It's not anybody's choice to be obese. If you're obese and if you're morbidly obese and you're okay with it, that's okay. Okay, that's okay. It's probably not your best choice, though. It's probably not your first choice. It's not my first choice. It was never my first choice. Even when I was 330 pounds and okay with being 330 pounds, because I had to be. You have to be okay with yourself, right? If you're not, and I understand a lot of people aren't okay, but if you're not okay with yourself, you're going to have daily struggles, right? So if you can be okay with yourself, but be open to change and be open to grow and try and learn and search and search and search. And maybe that's why I was able to lose a little bit of weight or a lot of weight, because I still loved myself. I was hurt and I was angry with myself, but I still love myself enough to keep on trying and to keep on getting to where I thought I needed to be, not from just a physical standpoint, from an aesthetic standpoint, but that was part of it. I'm not going to lie. That was definitely a big part of it. Growing up being a chubby guy, growing up being a fat guy, you sometimes, but I did at least, I had an image of what I wanted to be like, or what I want to look like, or how strong I want to be, or the activities I want to do. But I'm not going to tell you that I was 100% okay with being big. And I'm not going to say I was 100% okay with being 330 pounds, and I would not have taken a weight reduction. That could not be true. I was okay with being that big, right? But with still a goal of losing the weight. And for a lot of people, that is the case. Some people may say, and you may tell me, fatsoradio@gmail.com. You may tell me, Carlo, I'm 400 pounds and I'm totally happy with being 400 pounds. That's okay. You can say that, and you can, that's true for you. You can be happy with that, but you can't tell me that that's optimally healthy for you. You can't. Okay, that's established. Probably not gonna have a lot of people argue with me saying that is healthy, but we are gonna have people probably saying that, what about the mental health? And here's my argument on the mental health. It's probably equally as damaging and equally as painful and equally suffer-inducing to live like that. And I can only speak from my portion of my experience. For what my obesity was, for what my disease of obesity was, morbid obesity was, my version of it, it was painful to be that big. It was painful mentally to be that big, emotionally, physically. Let's talk about physically. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about how bad my knees hurt. Let's talk about how bad my ankles hurt, my hips hurt. I don't know. Every single joint felt like it hurt. You know, my shoulders used to hurt, my back used to hurt, everything used to hurt. But more than the physical pain, because physical pain, folks, we can heal from physical pain much faster, I think, than we can heal from emotional pain. But the emotional pain of being in a state where you're not happy with, and regardless of why you're not happy with it, but the reason why I wasn't happy with it is because I knew that wasn't healthy for me. I knew it wasn't healthy for me at the core level, but I fought with that. Like, I don't know if I'm getting the point out, but I fought with my unhappiness with my weight. I fought with that, between that and my acceptance that I was supposed to love myself and that I needed to love myself enough. And it's not a catch-22, but it's tricky because you need to love yourself enough to make a change. And if you don't love yourself enough, you're not going to make a change. But at the same time, you don't want to love your disease, or you don't want to love your problem, or you don't want to love your issue, but you want to love yourself. And it's very difficult because it's great. It's muddy water. Acceptance of weight and acceptance of who we are as a person gets conflated with acceptance of being overweight. You know, big is beautiful and all that stuff. And I'm not saying big is not beautiful, because beautiful is subjective, right? Healthy is a little bit more objective. We can honestly say in a little bit of a more of a narrow range what general health is, right? General weight guidelines, general fitness guidelines. These are some standards. You don't have to do the BMI thing, but if you're 6 foot and you weigh 200 pounds and you can run a mile and you can do 50 push-ups, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that those are any standards that anybody needs to live up to, but there's going to be some sort of a metric, a comparable metric to anybody at any level. If you're 150 pounds, can you do 5 push-ups? Can you run, whatever the case may be, right? So that's what I'm saying. But at the same time, we can't forget about the self-love, because it's the self-love, right? You don't want to hate yourself, but you want to be real with yourself, but you want to love yourself enough to make that change. And that's that portion that a lot of people can't get to, or a lot of people have a struggle to get to, is that they have a problem, they have struggles, and I'm included with that, but they have struggles, or they have a problem with, adjust my camera, with finding that balance, loving yourself enough to make a change. And then when you love yourself enough to make a change, great. Now you got to find that. Now you got to find that one thing that works for you, or the two things that work for you, or whatever it is. But it's very, very complicated. And that's why you need to keep at it. And that's why you need support. And that's why I want you to share this with somebody else if it could help them. If you find value in any of this, please do share it. Thank you so much for listening to Fatso Radio. Last thing I want to say about this is that it takes a community. I always say that. It absolutely takes a community. It takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to raise a family. It takes a village to raise a community and to keep a country together. And it takes a village to be healthy. I truly believe that, from an emotional standpoint, from a spiritual standpoint as well, which I want to get into in future episodes as well. And from a physical and emotional, a spiritual, a whole well-being, it takes a village, because we're all in this together, folks. There's a reason why every good recipe gets passed on from generation to generation, grandmother to grandmother, grandfather to grandfather, whatever the recipe is, whether it's a recipe on how to make a cake, or a recipe on how to make the best lasagna ever, or instructions on how to build a big shed, or blueprints on whatever the case may be. Tradition gets passed on, wisdom gets passed on, and let's keep this wisdom being passed on. Let's keep it being passed on to the generations that come up. If you're listening to this and you have children, and your children may be struggling, or you know someone whose children may be struggling, this information might help. Great time to remind everybody, I'm not a doctor. I'm not giving you medical advice. I'm giving you my journal. This is what's going on in my life. Thank you so much for listening. This episode, hey, I forgot to mention this. This episode is brought to you by Volpe Martial Arts. Every episode is about, folks, Volpe Martial Arts. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for your views and your likes and your shares and everything else. I love you all. I really do. I got in trouble years ago by saying I love you too much, but I don't care. I love you. I love you. I love you. Thanks so much, everybody. I didn't get in trouble. Just someone said, hey, why you say I love you so much? Doesn't matter. I love you all. Peace. Happy Friday, everybody. July 16th. Whew. I love you all. Fatso Radio. Let's say bye to everybody. And we'll say thanks for listening. Say thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
Fatso Radio, the really great podcast show.
Fatso Radio, the really great podcast show.
So get your butt and get in your chair.
Don't eat your nails and don't pull your hair.
We'll talk about chicken or talk about steak.
We'll talk about fat, for goodness sake.
Fatso, the really great podcast show.
Fatso, our very first podcast show.